focused around him, running Rona in the group stage. So a bit of a different play style here, and an emphasis definitely on Druid once again. And that's what it's going to come down here as we enter our draft of the Grand Finals, and I think Vox might be a good ban.
Yeah, Vox is a pretty good ban. We have seen it quite a number of times out of Druid, but I don't know. We've seen him play other heroes as well. It seems like the choice here is going to be Vox ban into Sky first pick. So they're essentially holding Druid into a Celeste pick. It's the only other hero he's played, and it is going to be the choice here for first pick. Of course, we do also have a Kestrel ban for Invincible Armada, exactly what we were talking about.
Yeah, I think that was pretty evident. Now, whether or not the Vox would be banned or not, that was kind of a question mark, considering that's a hero Ardent also likes to play. But we've seen banned a whole lot against Invincible Armada. That is definitely Druid's best hero. And the Koshka coming in, so not really mixing anything up. Very standard Invincible Armada composition coming through. Ardent and Blackfeather. So Ardent spent a lot of time banning Blackfeather up against Gangstars, but have they learned how to use it will be the question. We saw that Ardent taught Gangstars a lot about Kestrel. Now, has Gangstars taught Ardent a lot about Blackfeather? That is going to be the storyline for this game, and we're going to get right into Game 1 of the Finals. Welcome to Game 1 of the Grand Finals here in VIPL Season 2. Korea's Invincible Armada versus North America's Ardent will be going head-to-head for $40,000 for first place. So a lot of money on the line, and of course the prestige of being the best Vainglory team in the world.
Yeah, so much on the line here. And taking a look at the draft that we do have for both teams, obviously a bit more aggression mixed into Invincible Armada's lineup, but generally with that Koshka, they do a bit of damage early on, but it's really just to secure safety for Druid. We've seen this exact composition before. Catherine, Koshka, Celeste came out in game number 1 versus WEV in the semifinals. They played it quite well there. They fed Celeste so many of the creeps. Koshka, if I remember correctly, was really just trying to get that aftershock and then essentially just get support items. It was almost like a second support for Druid. But taking a look at the draft for Ardent, picking up Blackfeather, a very, very strong pick this time. They force out the Kestrel ban, and then they just pick up the Blackfeather. Flash X, after they drafted, look extremely happy, seeming like they got the better end of this draft, in their minds at least. But it really does look like that they're going to play this very safe, passive farming game and just try to out-farm Druid, something that nobody has really been able to do so far. But I said it before, if there's any team to do it, it's going to be Ardent Alliance.
Yeah, and the big CS gaps for Druid usually start occurring after about 12-15 minutes, where he suddenly starts seemingly manufacturing minions for him to kill, and the other team doesn't really get them. Mixi here taking a bit of damage. And interestingly, when we first saw Blackfeather run by Gangstars, they did run Book of Eulogies and put Koldamik in the lane. While we saw instead Iraqi Zoro, their typical laner, heading into the jungle. This time, though, will be a Weapon Blade on the Blackfeather. They're going to go in, and that's going to be a stun onto Flash X. Not the right target, though, so Invincible Armada will back off. Don't want to be stunning that roam. Instead, if you get a stun onto the Blackfeather with the Merciless Pursuit, much better. A nice defense there, and Invincible Armada trying to push up the lane, but Sky's wave clear, making short work of it. And so no one really going to get a pressure advantage early.
Yeah, and you were talking about the manufacturing of the minions for Druid. That's kind of what the Koreans have labeled it as, but really what it is, just by looking back at some of their VODs, it's just Koshka giving up creeps in the jungle. They allow Druid to farm up the lane, clear it out, push it up, and then go into the jungle and take all the minions there as well. And it's really important when you consider heroes such as Vox, such as Celeste, that need about 2 or 3 items before they become that dominating towards that mid and late game. So it's really just, once again, a composition 100% driven by Druid.
Yeah, and also nearly perfect last hitting too. You can't ignore that. He does very rarely miss a CS, and Invincible Armada also plays around waves very well, so they don't lose very many CS to their own minions or to their turret.
Yeah. One thing that's a fantastic point, by the way, Monty. One thing you can see from Druid a lot of the time is that he'll push it up and immediately back. He wastes not even half a second in terms of the downtime between waves or, between rotations into the jungle. They know exactly when the jungle minions are going to spawn, and they're right on top of it so that they can get an even faster spawn, after they kill it the second time.
You can see both Roam players spending a lot of time right now in the lane and trading a little bit back and forth, but no one really wants to open up that opportunity. Both junglers simply in the jungle by themselves so far. Druid going to be going for a Broken Myth first, very bold first item.
Yeah, I think this is the main build that we see out of Druid, unless he's playing Vox. Vox, of course, needs that alternating current first, and then he goes into Broken Myth. But if you're playing that Sky, you would go for the Frost Burn. But if you're playing the Celeste, it's nearly always that Broken Myth first, unless you want to be extremely safe and go for Eve of Harvest for that sustain. But Druid's not really that kind of player. He has two other players to support him.
That's right. Wine is level 6 now, so Ardent does have to be a bit cautious about how they approach this. It's a big power spike here for Koshka, and we start to see the light shields coming in across the board for Ardent, with the double crystal power composition is a key item that you need pretty much at all times to play against what we've seen from Invincible Armada this season. And simply some more trading going on here. A lot of emphasis simply on the wave in this game, and we expected this to be a bit of a slow one. So
yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. When you consider the two teams, Invincible Armada and Ardent, they're the two most passive teams in all of VIPL Season 2. And isn't it funny that they are the two teams that make it into the finals, Monte Cristo?
That's a very nice Koshka cheerful. One of the fans here. And one of the problems that Ardent had in their matchup against Gangstars was an unwillingness to build reflex block up against the Chain CC and Koshka. Well, guess what, Valdez? Look who has a reflex block early this game. It's Mixi, who was repeatedly killed on Vox while not building one.
Yeah.
In their previous game, in the first game of the series, where they were having to deal with a Koshka. And that actually made a huge difference in the early game. Ardent, to their credit, nearly won that game anyway, but it was a little silly for a while in the fact that they had no way to successfully deal with the Koshka. It was basically just Gangstars diving this Vox all the time. But he has changed his ways.
Yeah, I mean, it's no secret that the NA team practiced with the other NA team and exchanged, some ideas. And the same thing on the Korean side.
All right, Death from Above going to be used to zone him out. Who's going to get it? Will be actually Flash X on his Ardent that picks up that very narrow gold miner take right there. Invincible Armada trying to steal it away, but couldn't quite calculate the damage. So a nice payout to Ardent. Ruin going to go for some damage onto Mixi. Double stun from Celeste, but no follow-up. And now Ardent Alliance taking a small gold lead and a bit more control of this game number 1.
Yeah, very, very important. That's really the only difference that we are going to see between these two teams when it comes to grabbing objectives. They're not necessarily, they don't play like Gangstars, going for early kills, trying to get advantages like that in terms of like denying their opponent's CS. It's really just about getting all of their own CS and trying to steal away objectives. I wouldn't even be surprised if Invincible Armada was like, okay, let them start the gold mine so that we can have a little bit of extra time to get Druid the farm in the lane, and maybe we'll push it up to the turret, and then we'll rotate down and try to steal it. But either way, they weren't able to steal it, and definitely advantage going to Ardent Alliance here.
Yeah, we haven't seen Mixi give up any of those early kills yet either. That was a problem. And Flash X is going to come in, but that's going to be a reflex block for Druid as he quickly escapes. Meanwhile, Wine going to try and turn this one around, gets a nice twirl off. Nice stun onto Flash X coming in from Druid, but Ardent Alliance still pushing forward. Druid will ward them off with another Heliogenesis. So another inconclusive fight. Druid with a very slight farm advantage, but Mixi is no slouch when it comes to farming. He actually did out-farm Rocky Zoro in their series versus Gangstars.
Yep, that is true. And Druid actually picking up a Crystal Infusion decently early on. They did nerf the infusions. I think it was patch like 1.9 or 1.10. It was in Season 1 because players would normally not get, or just get them very early in place of other items because you could get such a big advantage because they were worth so much gold. But we don't normally see it this early on too often anymore. So Druid really trying to hit some kind of spot here with the Broken Myth, a Heavy Prism, and a Reflex block for maybe they can take a fight and then take the gold mine back because they can't really afford to lose it once and then lose it again. Then they're just going to get too far behind.
Yeah, indeed. And also Shinkai again picking up the fast Shiver Steel here. We'll give him a slow on his auto attacks. And you really need to be sticky with this Black Feather to be successful. And they've got a lot of tools to prevent Druid from kiting. They have the Gauntlet. They have the ability for Sky to dive into that back line, Death from Above, to get a stun, and now some more crowd control added to this Black Feather build. So they're really looking to make that work and see what they can do to contain Druid, because if they can kill Druid in the late game, there's just not going to be enough damage coming from Koshka to really effectively deal with Ardent's composition. And, it does leave me a bit worried. Flash X did have some questionable gauntlets in some of the games versus Gangstars, a few misses, and they're going to go all in onto Mixi right now. Here we go. Flash X actually gets his ult canceled, and now he's going to have to run. A couple early kills coming through. Now, will Wine fall for this? And it looks like they will be punished with a counter kill here coming through as Shinkaigen catches them on the dive, but 2 for 1, and they're going to even up that gold score. And Flash X, that was really well played by Ruin and Druid to get the series of stuns to cancel the gauntlet and turn that around.
Yeah, they knew exactly what was coming the second they saw that Ardent. Let's take a look here. Mixi gets caught out, not able to use that reflex block. It's just a little bit early. Flash X jumps to try to go into the gauntlet and an immediate stun. In fact, Rude was saving it for the gauntlet because he knew it was coming. Fantastic play there by Invincible Armada, and just a couple of kills, 2 to 1 in terms of kills, but they're immediately even in gold.
Yeah, that was a great Catherine stun. Really well played from Ruin. Good prediction, like you said, on Flash X's entrance into the fight and predicting the Vanguard and then the Gauntlet right on top of it. So nicely done, and that means that we do have a bit of a catch-up here after the Gold Miner falls. And now Druid, this is where he's going to start really opening up that farm gap, typically, about this point of the game. He's a little bit ahead right now, but we'll see if he can stretch it as he normally does into the 50-100 CS range.
Yeah, well, we're already beginning to see Wine give up some of his CS in the jungle. Just 2 small minions by the shop already being given to Druid. That's, a couple at a time is still going to give an advantage overall to, well, there we go, we're back to Druid.
Yeah, that's right, so it's coming in here, and we do have a little bit of an offensive push here from Invincible Armada. They're still looking to get that gold miner. They did get some chunk damage onto Mixi, but they're not going to make a play for it just yet. And back into pretty passive play. 12 minutes, only 3 kills. Very different from our last series, that's for sure.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting just watching this game even. Druid is slightly ahead in terms of farm, and the jungles are even, but if you just get a slight bit ahead in terms of CS, and then also take like a 2 to 1 trade in kills when you're behind, you'll be even if you give up double gold mines. So it's maybe that's something that Invincible Armada took into account coming into this game. They're like, don't go in and try to die. Like, we're not going to try to sacrifice ourselves to go for that gold mine. If we can get a steal, then okay, but we're not going to go all in for it because we don't want to lose a gold mine in a turret or a gold mine in a lot of our minions in the jungle, because that's a lot more important.
Yeah, fair enough. And both these teams not only playing very defensively, but itemizing very defensively. Multiple crucibles, reflex blocks on both sides already completed. So they're trying to deal with the large amount of crowd control from both team compositions and not get caught unawares or picked off.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the name of the game when it comes to it. Invincible Armada only slightly down, about 1,000 gold here. But just going to try to get all those cycles of the jungle minions. You see Druid in there already, and we see Ruin coming in, freezing the lane, and giving the minions to Druid. So this opens up the jungle minions to be given to Druid, and also the lane minions to be saved for Druid. I would love Ardent Alliance to either force Ruin back and not allow him to freeze the lane there, or maybe just not even push it in. Maybe try to catch them while they know Druid is in the back lines farming up.
Yeah, but this is what Invincible Armada does, right? Like, we talked about how Druid does take a lot of these jungle minions, but if we actually look at the creep scores right now, we see that Invincible Armada on the whole has actually gotten about 15 more CS as a team, and all of that is on Druid. So it comes down to a very precise way of playing the map and playing with the wave control to make sure that you maximize your farming efficiency.
Yeah.
And they know that they're the best at this, and if they just keep doing this over and over and over again, they will open up a gold lead eventually. But they have to be a little bit concerned about this gold mine that's going to fill up right as the Kraken spawns in about 30 seconds. So will they go for a fight? Another infusion now for Druid in his inventory. We don't see any so far for Ardent, but Breaking Point has been picked up, so nice power spike for Blackfeather.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Invincible Armada is going to try to fight this one. It seems like they're all grouped up now, but Druid's just going into the back. It seems almost as if Wine and Ruin are just here to spot for Ardent Alliance. They do not want to fight at all.
Yeah, they don't. In fact, Druid's just going to go back and farm the back camps for a little bit more money. But as we see, there's the immense gold payout. They do take a little bit of a leap, but not much of one. Invincible Armada just sticking right by their turret.
Yeah, and this is what Invincible Armada was doing, you know, back in Season 1. We'll hold that thought.
There's a gauntlet coming down, so we have a little bit of action here. Ultimate onto Mixi in the back line. Wine's going to get a nice twirl. A great Solar Storm, but can they actually finish off a kill? No, the turnaround comes in through Ardent. Heliogenesis is going to deal a lot of damage, but two members, Shinkaigen just getting out with a sliver of health back to his turret. Beautiful escape right there, and another very close fight. One kill for none, but Invincible Armada has a couple of high HP heroes remaining.
Yeah, if they had traded that 1-for-1, it would have been golden for Invincible Armada, in fact. Unfortunately, they are not able to pick up a kill. But again, a lot of cooldowns down here for Ardent Alliance, and as you were saying, they're going to use that space to just farm up the lane and then go back and just keep on farming all of these minions instead. Only one kill going over to Ardent Alliance is really not that much gold when you look at it. I think it's like 160 to the guy who got the kill here at level 12, and you know, a small amount of assist gold as well, which is about 40% if it's one assist and 20% if it's split between the two other members. So overall, I feel like, in fact, Invincible Armada got the better of that trade.
Well, we'll see. They still are down when it comes to gold, but under 2K, so certainly something they can recover from. But with all the shield stacking from Ardent Alliance, I mean, we have these two teams basically making a bet right now. Invincible Armada saying, well, we're going to outfarm you and close this gold gap. And Ardent Alliance saying, well, we got the gold miner payouts and we're using it to build defensive items when you don't have a multi-damage threat on your team, especially since this Koshka has gone for Broken Myth. Sometimes we see them going for Alternating Current. And we're not going to have really any weapon power damage from Invincible Armada, so the efficiency of defensive items on Ardent Alliance will be quite good.
Yeah, we've seen teams forego that in terms of just trying to match in straight-up damage against against Invincible Armada, but I don't think that's the exact way to do it. I think Ardent Alliance have prepared this really well, where they're like, okay, we know that they're going to build two crystal power heroes, and we're just going to out-defend them, essentially. We already see Aegis and the Light Shield here on Mixi, Fountain of Renewal onto Flash X, Kinetic Shield onto Shinkaigen, focusing on the other items here being sticky, getting that breaking point. Those are two very key items for a Blackfeather in the jungle. And I'm sure he's not going to be too slow on building that Aegis either.
Yeah, definitely moving very quickly towards that pickup himself. So Ardent playing the turtle game, but very well prepared, and they're going to go for a little bit of a bold Kraken take here as they see all three members of Invincible Armada. Are they actually going to finish this flare in the brush right now? Invincible Armada knows what's going on. Gauntlet is going to fall down, and Druid has pushed out Shikaigan in the backline, gets the Vanguard. He's sticking to Druid, he kills him. That is huge, and now Wine going to be the next to die. Ruin here, chased down with the Suri Strike, and a big win for Ardent Alliance. They're going to take the Kraken too. They forced the fight, they got into the backline, and they killed Druid. Now they'll take it a couple turrets, no doubt.
That was just an unbelievable read by Ardent Alliance. They hit such a small timing there to just barely get that Kraken and force Invincible Armada into a bad situation. Invincible Armada was really lacking on the vision there. I did not like that. They had no idea that was coming. And this could even end the game.
Well, not only that, but all members of Ardent had to use double infusions, and there were no infusions on Invincible Armada, so there was a huge power spike in terms of items. Got another fight going on now. Wine is going to get an ult onto Big Sheep, but they're just going to go straight for the Crystal. That's going to be it, 19 minutes. Ardent Alliance in a very patient game gets their items, gets their infusions, and catches Invincible Armada off guard.
That was really, really interesting play there by Ardent Alliance. It seemed almost as if Invincible Armada